Hey, hey, how are we? It looks like we're live, Mr. Booker.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, man, good. Long time no talk. It looks like it's just me and you right now. We're just getting in. Usually the first 5 or 10 minutes, everybody kind of jumps in.
Okay.
So that's kind of perfect. People are running late, but close that down.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the call today, man.
Yeah, that was good, man. I'm excited for you.
Man, thank you, man. Yeah, I've been wanting this for a long time, so anything you can do to help, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. That's what it motivates me, man. I love that energy. I love helping out. So I'm actually really surprised. I wonder if we're having a technical thing here because it's just me and you, which is super weird. Normally we have about 10 people on here right now. Let me take a peek. But that's all right. I'm not going to hold you up either. If that is the case, I'll just have Christian look at it in the background while we're doing our thing. So cool. Okay, he's taking a look at that. So we're good. So yeah, man. So I know we just talked here a little bit ago. It'd be helpful. Oh, there we go. There's Mark. Mark, can you hear us? Looks like we had Mark just jump on the line. He might be on a cell phone. I'm not sure if let me unmute, see if I can do it on my end. Bear with me just a second. Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, Josh. How's it going?
There we go. Awesome, man. How's it going?
Fantastic.
Good. Well, it's good to see you jump on. I thought we might be having a glitch, and we might be because it's just me, you, and John right now. So there's 3 of us on here. Normally there's 15 or 20 of us. So I think Christian's looking into the back end right now. But in the meantime, we'll just kind of keep rolling. If he comes in here and tells me I need to do something, I will. So cool. Now, I know I talked to you last week, and you were about to do an order and stuff. How did everything go?
Went really well. I got both of those orders this week. Had some glitches with the Ring Central voicemail, but got over those. So I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm gonna enable my first campaign.
Exciting. Let me know how that goes, man, and cheers to that. What happened with Ring Central? Was it just like a technical thing?
Yeah, I couldn't get it to just sound like a normal voicemail. It kept giving like hit 1 to go to the operator, hit 0 to leave a voicemail. So, but I got that figured out. So good to go.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're golden. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, and that I'm glad you did because that's a big thing because a lot of people where they don't answer it live, they get the voicemail and they're so excited. Oh my gosh, like this is so meant to be. We were just talking about selling it, and then they hear press 1 and they're like, oh, it's a sales.
Yeah, that was like full afternoon because I saw some of your videos and you wanted it to sound like you're just a regular guy.
Yeah, I mean, you still get leads and deals from it, even if it does do that. But you're going to get way more. It's a response killer.
Sure.
So awesome. So you said going live tomorrow. You said.
Yeah.
Epic. And I know me and John just had a one-on-one call earlier today. John, refresh me real quick because I just got off at 3 back-to-back. You do have your list yet or not? No, you're coming because you're coming to the intensive as well, right? That's right. Okay. Yep. So we're going to get you going. We're good there, and we've got a call coming up so we can talk about some of the prospecting stuff. And then, so Mark, you said you did get your list.
Yeah. I did a wide niche list, which that came like I think within 48 hours, 10,000, 65 plus absentee, and then I did 10,000 blanket list. That took a little longer. But I just got that.
What market are you in again, Mark? I'm sorry.
Denver.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, that'll be epic. Well, yeah, and now I remember talking to you, and you were going to get a little bit of a mixture in that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's kind of the ideal game plan with that budget is get wide niche because you got both. You accomplished both. You got rich and you got volume, which is the key. You kind of need both. Now, as you get rich and volume, all the better. But you're off to the races right now because you said 20,000 records in total right now?
Right.
Yeah. So, 20,000 with piggybacking, with second voice, and hopefully you've got a deal or two by the time you get to that, and you're just buying more data anyways. But at a minimum, you can get volume and consistency out just over those 20,000 for probably, a month, 2 months if you really, had to.
Sure.
But that's really good. So definitely. So now you're launching tomorrow. How many are you planning to do? Are you doing 5 days a week, or what's the plan?
Yeah, 5 days a week. I don't know. Tomorrow I might take it easy just to make sure I don't get any funky. That was the other thing. It took me a couple tries with the voicemail, but I saw some of your videos, so I tested it by uploading my own number. So have that sounding good. But yeah, so tomorrow I think I'll just try like 1,000 and make sure I don't get any, like people saying they couldn't hear the voicemail.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And it's Friday. I don't know. Does it matter if it's Friday or Monday or?
Yeah, no, Friday's a good day. The only days that I don't like sending it out are the weekends and then holiday, if it's like a holiday Monday. And the reason why is because a lot more people are home, and I would prefer to get their voicemail.
Sure, now, yeah. I actually could have started yesterday, but we had a huge blizzard and everything was called up. So I figured that wouldn't.
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing too. Sometimes when there's like a world thing going on, that can kill your response rate. Because even if you called a list that would have had 10 people that are trying to sell right now, you might have only had 1 or 2 of them call just because everybody's dealing with, being snowed in.
Sure.
So, yeah. Oh, well, that's good then. But no, I mean, yeah, Friday other than that is fine. So if you're doing, 5,000 a week, I just do 1,000 a day. And then I'm sorry, drop something. If you're doing 5,000, you were saying 5 days a week, but if you're doing, 2,000 or 3,000 a day, first day's 1,000 is good to kind of test everything. And if you do it in the morning, you wait till noon and everything seems to be running fine, but you just haven't had many leads, then just, turn it up, or
sure.
you could easily send out another 1,000. So I think that's a perfect, you're right. I like it.
Cool.
So cool. Well, then, gosh, I don't know. I didn't hear back from Christian, but he said everything looked okay. Something weird. I'll send out a Facebook thing too, and so if we have to do another one, but either way, we'll have a group call next week. But since it's just the 3 of us, a little bit quicker, and I know John, I just talked to you here a little bit ago. So I mean, I'll just open it up. Any questions? Anything? Whether it's cold calling or wholesaling. I mean, just 3 of us at the moment. So. The floor, I'm wide open. I've got time. Anything you guys want to ask me. And if there's not a whole bunch, I mean, no worries. We're going to be jumping right back on the phone here again. And I know, Mark, you're going live tomorrow. John, we're talking next week as well, putting all that stuff in place. But while we're here, anything you guys want to ask or talk about, I'm wide open.
Yeah. I had a quick question on the blanket list. So I kind of sort of choicely selected area codes and areas. Is that something you recommend, or would you just put in Denver? Because that actually delayed it. They came back and said they could only get 5,000 records.
This was on the white niche or the blanket? I'm sorry.
The blanket, because I don't know, I know areas here in Denver that, and I'm not sure how they get the list, but for instance, Cherry Creek neighborhood, Washington Park, that, I mean, most likely people aren't going to be selling at wholesale prices.
A little savvier, yeah, have more mains.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I kind of just picked out area codes that I knew people had kind of been wholesaling or remodeling.
Yeah. That's what, and I've ran into the same thing. That happens for sure. What I would do is pick the zip codes you like, and then if you need more, go right around those or to kind of your next best. I've gotten lots of blanket lists like here in Phoenix for Scottsdale and Paradise Valley, which are areas where you same type of thing. You're going to have sellers have a lot more mains, a lot less distress situations. But for blanket list prices and in volume, I've done some monster deals off some of those lists. You can carve yourself $100,000 on $1 million house if you get the right seller at the right time. But it's certainly not where I would start, with white niche or anything like that. So, and part of it too is going to be a volume game. So ideally, I would try to avoid the most expensive areas until you've gotten the other stuff first. I don't know the exact population of Denver, but I would imagine your metro area has got to be what, 2-3 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would imagine, even if it was going, 20-30 minutes away, but still in the metro area, there'd be something else. But that's kind of how I would look at that. So I wouldn't like totally avoid those ones, but yeah, like you said, you don't want to right off the bat get, all your data in, more expensive areas because the response rate might not be that much different, but the conversion will be tougher, with those people that, they're like, hey, we'll call and see what you offer. And then they're like, nope, I have no reason to sell that cheap.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
So, yeah.
Hey,
but let me know too, if you go to order a list and you're kind of like, you're under the intricacies of looking at your market, I'd be happy to help too. Just reach out to me and kind of let me know. And I could kind of, reading through the data, whatever you're getting back on that count, and kind of help I'd be happy to.
Okay, awesome.
So cool. Sorry about that, John. You started to say something, brother?
No problem. Yeah, I had a question. So, getting started, like someone like Mark, what should he expect to spend daily getting started? And then, once he ramps up, what should we expect to spend daily as far as marketing goes?
Well, as you start out, your biggest expense is going to be building your database. So buying the list, right? And if you go to list sources that don't have numbers, then you got to buy the list and the phone number, right? But either way, that's really the only two things you need is the data and then their phone numbers, which if it comes with the phone number, then you get them both at once. Beyond that, you're just buying minutes. So like me, I very rarely buy a list. Now we buy 200,000 minutes every single month. And sometimes we'll buy 300,000. We don't usually get through all 300, but sometimes we'll go over 200. And I never buy less than 100,000 at a time because I just want you save an extra 0.3 cents or whatever it is, but times 250,000, it's a lot. So I mean, occasionally we will suppress a list, which means I'll take a list, say that's a year and a half old that I've already had success with, and I will resend it back in, and they'll re-pull it. Right? So it might, if their system that skip traces, it might find some numbers now that it didn't find back then, or maybe some of those people sold. So it kind of, suppressing it is kind of like cleaning it up. So I'll occasionally suppress it, which is a lot cheaper than buying the list. So almost nothing. So all that to say, in the beginning, Mark, I'm trying to remember, what you spend? You bought 10,000 blanket, 10,000 wide knits. That's going to get you at least a month. You do that for a few months and you've got enough data to go all year because you just keep hitting each list quarterly. Now, that being said, as Mark closes a deal or two, he might go, well, next month I want to buy 20,000 wide niche, not 10 and 10, and then it'll cost him a little bit more. But even that's a temporary thing. So all that to say, I mean, you're looking at, max $5,000 a month, even if you have $1 million and you're like, Josh, I just need you to tell me what's going to get me the best leads the fastest. You're still looking out at probably topping out, maybe $5,000-6,000 a month if you were really putting the pedal to the metal and had the budget. And then after 3 to 6 months, depending on how many you want, that's going to just, be chopped down, and 90% of that budget's going to go away because now you have the data. You just don't have to buy it anymore. You can refresh it later, but that's super cheap, and B, that's way later. So all that to say, like what we spend in a month, I think we spend about $4,000 in minutes on average, between buying 200,000 to 300,000 in minutes. And then that's pretty much it. We suppressed we suppressed our entire Phoenix database earlier. I think it cost us, this was like last week, cost us about $10,000 to update 700,000 records. And on that 700,000 records, we had 250,000 properties that were updated. So actually about 190,000 records came back with that didn't have a number before and have a number, or had a number and got a new number or a better number or whatever. And there was 50,000 records that had sold their house since we bought that list. And now we know we probably don't want to market to those 50,000. I mean, we could, it's only a penny or whatever to call them, but they just bought the house in the last year and a half since we bought those lists. So, you know what I'm saying? So all that to say, anywhere from you can run it with 500 or 1,000 a month to get going until you get your first deal. And then you're looking at, a max of probably $5,000 or $6,000 a month for a few months. And you can do anywhere in the middle you can get there. And then once you've got the database, even if you're making 100,000 calls a month, you know, $1,000, $1,500, whatever it is for the minutes, you know, which for 100,000 sellers being contacted, you know what I mean? You're going to be pretty good.
I love it. Okay.
So there's going to be some deal. I mean, you could pick a phone book and you call 100,000 people, you're probably going to get a deal. And those people, most of them don't even own a house. You know what I'm saying? Let alone. So.
Perfect. What about, I know you're local. What about title company here? Do you recommend anybody?
Oh, that's right. You're here in Phoenix. Yes, I do. Title Alliance of Phoenix. I know, Mark, that didn't do you any good. Title Alliance of Phoenix. I can send you the contact info. Send me an email, and I'll send you over the title company we're using right now. There's a few we use, but for our wholesale deals, we pretty much exclusively use Title Alliance of Phoenix. Then Chicago, we use for our refinances. I try to use, like, you know, my lady that does all my assignments. If I go to do a refinance one with one of my private lenders, I like to keep that squeaky clean. And wholesale deals, a lot of times they're not squeaky clean because you got sellers that are weird or whatever. So I use a couple. But Danielle Mousy at Title Alliance of Phoenix, I'll hook you up with her. They do all of our wholesale deals. They're amazing.
Awesome.
Yep. So cool.
One more question. I don't know, you know, you give out this information, but do you have a tax guy here or accountant that you work with?
I do. He's super expensive, but he's the best. And I have good attorneys too, multiple attorneys. I have one tax guy. He does all my taxes, all my structure, everything. So I could help you out with him. Now, if you're just getting going and you're just, are you trying to get the LLC formed, or where are you going with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the LLC formed.
So what I would recommend doing, honestly, go to Arizona Corporate Commission. Okay, this is not legal advice, by the way. Like, an attorney is going to tell you, like, file in this state, in Vegas, because Vegas and Wyoming have the best blah, 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 right? And all that's probably true. But if you just want to get an LLC set up so that you're pushing it off for your personal name, Arizona Corporate Commission, you can do it online, or you can go right to downtown and do it. It's done really quick. It'll cost you like $100 to do the paperwork. Once you get that, you just go online to the IRS and you punch in all your information. They'll immediately give you an EIN number. Go into the bank, you can open your bank account. Or as long as you do the corporate commission thing, you can go into the bank account, and you have to have an EIN to get the bank account. So they'll actually help you go online and get your EIN. But it's really easy to do. So right now, getting going, all you need is your LLC. Now, again, I'm not telling you this as an attorney or an accountant, just telling you as a real estate fellow, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 see dealership for details. But ultimately, get the LLC now. Now, you start making money, you're going to want to structure, get away from the self-employment tax, S-corp, payroll, right? Eventually, management company when you start the whole thing. But none of that shit matters. Bottom line, get the LLC, get it out of your personal name, right? That's easy. Once you start consistently doing deals, you're going to definitely want to talk to them about setting up an S-corp, so if you got a couple 100,000, you're not getting killed in self-employment tax.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
That's kind of the gist of it. Yep. But here's the other thing too. Go get your first, if you got to do your first deal under John Booker, do your first deal under John Booker. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not a long-term thing, but the reason I make the point is so many people, I've had so many students and friends and other people I have seen worry so much about getting their LLC perfect or the website perfect or the business cards or all these things that are all important, right? But they all delay getting that first check, and that first check is going to change everything. You know what I'm saying? So even if you have to, you know, put one or two of your first wholesale deals flows to your personal, it's all going to flow to your personal return regardless anyways. And maybe your accountant will tell you to backdate or what, you know, et cetera. But bottom line, azcc.gov, LLC is going to cost you $100, and that's all you need to do. Go to the bank, and they'll help you get your EIN, and that's all you really need to do. Don't worry about paying an accountant until you've made some money where you're like, okay, I'm either going to have a tax bill or I need to get some help. And then even then, I mean, hopefully you're making some money and you do have a little bit of tax bill, right? You're going to want to minimize it, but, you know, I mean, I had to pay an extra $100,000 this year. Like, I'm happy. You know what I mean? It's like, well, better than going back to selling cars, you know? So.
Right. All right. Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I needed.
Good, man. Cool. But yeah, no, that's awesome. You're in Phoenix. So anything on the local stuff, Mark, I'm not sure your best title company, man, but definitely whoever, just make sure they're good with assignments.
Yeah, you know what? I happened to, it was a networking event a while back, met a cool girl. It's this, they do a ton of wholesale deals. So it should be good. And then, yeah, it took me like half a day to get my LLC, EIN, and bank account set up. So
there you go. Perfect. I love it. Yeah. So there you go, John. Half a day. I mean, yeah, easy.
And actually for the EIN, you can go on a IRS website and it'll take like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Really? Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could give you my guy's number and I'm sure he'd charge you a couple grand if he would do all that for you, but exactly what John just said. So I wouldn't, you'd just be wasting money, honestly, at this point.
Okay. Cool.
I had a quick question. I just realized this. So for the lists I got, there were no headers, and the absentee list, it was pretty obvious because one of the first column, had their address out of state. Some of them. Mm-hmm. So that's the number I wanted to put in or upload.
Make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
Well, I just figured because it's absentee owners, I took the phone number from the column with the address that had a lot of out-of-state phone numbers. Because there's two different phone numbers.
Oh, okay. So I got you. Okay, so you're saying there's two columns that contain phone numbers, but one of them is heavier in California numbers, and the other one is in Denver numbers, and the other one is heavier in all other states. Right.
So I assume the one with other states was what I wanted to upload there, but then
do both.
Both?
Or do one day do one and one day do the other and see if you can tell the difference. Because here's my thought. Yes, they're absentee, so they could be, the one column with the other area codes could be better, or majority of absentee owners are in state. So when you pulled your absentee, did you do out of state only or just absentee?
No, just absentee, but I just one of the columns had some out of state addresses. Right. So I
would definitely call them all, but what I would do is maybe just break them up into 2 different days and just see if you notice any difference. And might kind of shed some light on that. But generally, we just stack them all into one column and call them all. And then anybody that calls back and says wrong number, don't call me, gets weeded out. And, and then we just kind of go that way.
Okay. So I guess technically I've almost double then for that list.
Yeah. I mean, that'll help you then because because all the numbers, whenever I'm talking about like this many numbers to get you, is just rows. So yeah, I would do that. Now, if you do split them up and notice like one day you get 12 leads off 10,000 calls, the next day you get 9, that might shed some light on like, okay, this column is much better than this column, right? But even that's something that I could go to the same, best wholesale list, grab that same list for Phoenix, and that might not exactly apply because all these, list companies, they're going to pull it directly from county resources or use whatever they're doing to get records and to get, phone numbers, etc. So sometimes, you could do the same thing in 2 markets and get those little nuances could be different just based on the way that county sends it over, you know what I mean, versus the other one or stuff like that. So my hunch would be that you'll probably get some success out of both, but I would just kind of, if it's easy to break it up into a couple of days and just see if anything stands out, there's no reason not to.
Okay. Glad I asked, because I guess the cost is only a minute. So
yeah,
if it gets you a deal.
Now, what I don't like is those vendors where you can skip trace and they send you back 6 numbers, like TLO and LexisNexis, the most expensive ones. Yeah, you can upload 100 records and they're going to give you back 98. 98 records are going to come back with phone numbers, but those 98 records are going to have on average 5 numbers. So now I got to call 500 people to call 100 people. And the accuracy is very low. Even though that all 100 people might be in there, I would rather give me 100 numbers where 70 of them are accurate for way less money, and then I'll just go back and get another 100 and another 70 accurate numbers, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to paying 10 times as much for 98 numbers. Because dollar for dollar, one guy ends up with 400 numbers, the other guy ends up with 100 numbers, and they paid the same amount.
Yeah, I've been through that. I've had lists of 1,000, and you get like 5 numbers for each, and I'm on the Mojo dialer, and it's just like,
it
man.
takes forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not, even though the minutes are cheap. I mean, you will spend more in minutes as well, because now you're 5xing your minutes spend. That you can absorb. It's still cheap enough, but it's just the energy and the time and all the extra FUs. Because if you're calling 5 people, I mean, just by the law of averages, 4 out of every 5 is going to be the wrong number. So it's just so much brain damage.
Yeah, and I mean, it wears you out being personally on the phone with people yelling at you, versus
Absolutely.
This is pretty cool that it's automated.
Yes, and that's why too, like we recommend, I've had a VA for a long time. If you can outsource someone listening to your message, updating your DNC list and sending you just the leads, that is the most valuable thing energy-wise you can possibly do. Because now, just like you were just talking about, same thing even with the messages, even though you're not live talking to them, every single person that says, you scum, or don't call me again, right? Not that big of a deal a few times. But if you could walk into the office and you got 5 people that are like, hey, Mark, I got your message. Really want to talk to you. Hey, Mark, got your message. What's this about? Yeah, we might be interested in selling. Hey, Mark, call me about the house, right? And that's all you have to call back. Like that immediately creates a high and you're excited versus coming in and yeah, you still hear those, but each one of those you hear 10 like, fuck you, Mark. You know what I mean? Like it's just, there's no way to have the same energy. Even the most thick-skinned guy in the world, 50 years in sales that thinks he's got the same energy still doesn't. I mean, we're all human.
Definitely.
So, but in the meantime, I mean, if you have to in a little bit in the beginning, not that big of a deal, but in scale and longevity and consistency wise, it will make a big difference if you can get all that brain damage off your plate. The key is make sure somebody's actually updating your do not call list, because you're going to have a lot of people calling you back saying, don't call me. You're not supposed to call me, blah, blah, blah. Where you're really going to get in trouble is if you don't update your list and you keep calling them. But you don't really want to call them anyways, right? I mean, those people are going to be brain damaged.
Yeah. So then do we check both? That was another question I had. There's the massive minutes DNC list. Do we use that or do we just use our own? Should I just upload everything and then as I get do not call?
Okay. Yeah. So what you want to use, so massive minutes there's 3 do not call lists actually in there. The national do not call list, which if you want to run it against it, you can. It's going to kill your numbers, and there's the arguments isn't even a sales call. So if you really want to be super safe, you can run it against that, but it's going to take out 2/3 of your numbers. I don't do that. Then there's what I call the bottom feeder do not call list, and that's a list of people that have been identified as these people have sued somebody or filed something or whatever, right? So you definitely want to run it against that. That's a no-brainer. And a lot of telemarketing services now have this list. I don't know who, but I think some company is like creating it and then selling it to the data companies. So definitely want to run it through that. Absolutely no reason not to. Now the third DNC, that's your internal do not call list, which is just the numbers you put on there. And so we run everything through our internal and through the bottom feeder, but we do not run it against the national. But it would be your choice if you want to run it against national or not. But I would definitely recommend running it against the other two, 110%.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
So Josh, that's what your VA does. The VA listens to the calls, updates the DNC, and then provides you with the list of people to call back every day. Yeah,
if they're a lead, he puts it into our Podio, which if for you right now, you could just have them, hey, if it's a lead, send it in an email, right? That would work. And then if it's a do not call, they'll upload the do not call. And if it's a 50-50, he just puts it on an Excel spreadsheet that they share with my sales team. So my guys, like at any point, if they're slow, they can just like click over to that and triple dial it and see. Because what we found is 15% of the 50-50s are leads. It's kind of funny. We don't call it a 1585. We call it a 50-50 because you don't know. It might be a lead, might not be. But the true stats and volume are that 1 in 7 or whatever, 15% is going to be a lead. So on average, that equals out to be a day's worth of lead. So if you average 15 leads a week, right, that's 3 leads a day. If you call your 50-50s at the end of the week, you're probably going to get 3 more leads, which is another day. If you don't, you're going to lose those. Now, yeah, you got to call 15 to get 3, but shit, if you could sell me a list that had a 20% chance of every person being a lead, like, I mean, that'd be the best list. And that list would be better than a vacant house list. You know what I mean? Or a foreclosure, like it'd be the best list. So it's worth calling those 50-50s at least once. Just throw them on a triple dialer. So that's why we haven't put them on a spreadsheet, because we can just upload it to Mojo and just instantly call them on a triple dialer. It takes, even if there's 100 of them, we can call through them in 10 minutes, unless someone answers and we're talking for a long time.
Awesome.
So cool. Well, guys, I'm super excited. Oh, go ahead, John.
Sorry, last question.
Yeah, no.
I know I'm way ahead of myself here, but how do you handle doing the deals in Portland? Is it just buying a list, calling out, and then they call your Phoenix? I mean, you have a Portland number here set up in Phoenix, and you answer it that way?
Yeah, I'm not very heavy in Portland at the moment. I dabble in and out and have now for years. At the moment, we're very light. Last year, we were heavy. We had done some indie this year. Phoenix is always our main focus. I'm very big on, hey, you know your market, you know your buyers, you know your neighborhoods. You can jump in the car and go. So I'm huge on that. But yeah, it works the exact same. The only difference is make sure you get your incoming number and your outgoing number, that you get a local number, because they will. If you do Phoenix, if you do Portland with the Phoenix number, everyone's going to be like, wait, where are as long as it's a 503 number, they don't even think anything of it.
Right. Yeah. I just wondered if you had the same success being virtual there, or if it was harder.
Virtual is don't do virtual. No, I'm not saying don't ever do virtual, but being brand new, start crushing it here in the market, and then worry about other markets, because if everything you do in Phoenix is going to build off of itself. So if you get a deal today and you sell it, right, now more buyers know who you are and you're adding to your list. Because if you sell one deal, you're probably going to get 3 to 5 buyers, right? Even if they don't all want it, if one person says, yes, I want this, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 other people like, hey, I think I want this, what's up? And you're going to talk to them and see what they want, what they do, etc. And you're going to, you know what I'm saying? So now if you go get a deal in Seattle, you start from scratch. If you get a deal in Phoenix the next day, you're like, oh shit, I'm going to call those dudes and see if any of them want it. And then, right? So if you do 2 markets, the marketing stuff, you can just do everything the same. That part's easy. Acquisitions, same thing. Disposition, you're starting from scratch every time you go to a new market. And that's something that my buyers list in Phoenix is what it is, because I've been marketing for so many years. So I could literally export my buyers list, send it over to Sean Terry, and he could send it out, and he's not going to have the same results. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know. Some of them might, because he's big, but you understand what I'm saying. The same list and the same everything from somebody else versus my list. I mean, they're all used to getting my stuff. So the ones that I've never talked to, you kind of just like with video marketing, you kind of create a relationship, even though I don't know them, because they're used to seeing all my shit. So if they see one that grabs their eye, they're like, this is exactly what the call sounds like. Hey, Josh, I see your property on Cordes here. I just had a couple questions about how you work. I've been getting your stuff for a long time, but I just had a couple questions. And it's almost like built-in credibility, just the fact that they know you've been doing it. So that builds up. And if you're in multiple markets, it's gonna, even if you are building them all up, it's going to take way forever instead of just pouring it all into this, and pushing it up. Because if you just send out a deal a month, you'll some people will start to remember you or whatever. You send out 3, 4, 5 deals a month for a couple of years, dude. I mean, it just everything just gets easier and easier and easier. You know what I mean? And you'll sell it for you'll sell deals that you're less sure about on the beginning. All of a sudden you'll be like, damn, I've got buyers for those now. You know what I mean? And so that's why you being in Phoenix, any deal you get, try to sell it yourself, try to get the whole thing. And then if you don't, hit me up, because to that point, you could be sending it to the same buyers and it might not go. And then they're like, oh, it's Josh. Right. And they're like,
Makes sense. Okay.
Not that it's that big of an advantage. If it's a great deal, they're still going to buy it from you. But yeah, I mean, it builds. It's a momentum thing, and and all that stuff for sure.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Mark, anything else, man, before we wrap up?
I'm good. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. We will upload this into the recording area, and I'll have Christian send out an email to somebody, because I know there was a glitch, but I don't know what it was. So we'll have the link there if we do a bonus call, but before next week's call. In the meantime, if you guys need anything, just reach out to me, Facebook group, text me, email, whatever. And I'll talk to you guys here in, a few days or less than a week. But excited. Mark, let me know how it goes when you go live tomorrow. And then, John, we'll be talking real soon as well. And reach out to Christian right away. Let's definitely get that other one-on-one call booked so we can get some of that energy budget stuff deployed right away and get you going before the intensive.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We'll do.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Mark, you're good?
I'm good, yeah.
Crush City. All right, guys, I'll talk to you both real soon.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.